Disclaimer: this story contains mature themes intended for adult viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. It started with silence, but not the awkward kind. The kind that hangs heavy in the air, thick with things unspoken. I was curled up on the couch, legs tucked under me, flipping through a magazine I wasn't really reading. He walked in without a word, freshly showered, hair still damp, that faint trace of sandalwood cologne trailing behind him. The way he looked at me wasn't casual. It lingered. Held. Said more than his lips did. I felt it immediately, my stomach tightened, breath caught for just a beat too long. He sat behind me, his thighs brushing the edge of my hips as he pulled me gently into his lap. Not rushed. Just firm. Intentional. My heart kicked against my ribs like it knew something I didn't. "What are you doing?" I asked, voice low, teasing, but even I could hear the catch in it. He didn't answer. Just leaned forward, lips brushing the curve of my neck, close enough to warm my skin but not quite touching. I could feel his breath. Slow. Controlled. Dangerous. Then came the whisper, right against my ear, "Feel inside." My hand trembled as I moved instinctively, unsure if I was nervous or just overwhelmed. But the moment my fingers grazed the edge of his jeans, I felt it. The tension. The pressure. The truth of what he wanted me to feel. I looked up at him sharply. He was already watching me. Eyes locked. Serious, amused, daring, all at once. His hand moved to cover my mouth gently, not forceful, just intimate. Like he already knew what I might say. Or moan. My pulse spiked. My cheeks burned. I didn't say a word. He leaned in closer, his voice low and rough. "You feel that?" And I did. And I couldn't unfeel it now. That heat, that thrum of connection, that twist of something deeper than just desire. Sitting on him, in that charged moment, everything else fell away. The room was quiet. The world stopped. It was just us. And I could feel everything, more than I was ready for. Then, he smiled. And said, "Now, don't move." The silence between us hadn't always felt like this. There was a time, early in our marriage, when words flowed as easily as laughter. When late-night drives turned into deep talks. When I'd fall asleep to the sound of his voice, not the echo of my own thoughts. But lately, things had shifted. Slowly. Subtly. Like a house settling on its foundation. You don't notice it right away, but one day the doors don't close the same. We still loved each other. At least, I thought we did. But love had become practical. Timed. Folded between work schedules and grocery lists and phone calls that ended with, "I'll talk to you later." We didn't fight. We didn't make up either. We just existed. Until tonight. The way he touched me, so sure, so still, it caught me off guard. Like he remembered something I had forgotten. Or maybe he had never let go of it. Maybe he was holding on this whole time while I was busy holding myself together. Earlier that day, I'd watched him from across the kitchen. His jaw clenched as he read something on his phone, brow furrowed in that familiar way. I wanted to ask what it was. I didn't. He didn't offer. We passed each other like shadows in our own home. I smiled. He nodded. We functioned. But underneath that routine was something neither of us wanted to admit. We missed each other. Terribly. There were things I never told him. Like how I hated the quiet when he worked late. Or how I wore his shirt to bed just to feel closer. Or how, lately, I'd been dreaming of the way he used to kiss me, long, like time didn't exist. And maybe there were things he hadn't said either. About the pressure. About how he watched me but didn't know if he was still allowed to want me out loud. About how the gap between us was growing, and how hard it was to pretend not to notice. But now, in this moment, sitting in his lap, I felt everything. All at once. His hand rested gently on my thigh. Not demanding. Just there. Warm. Real. His breath slowed as I leaned slightly against him, my head brushing his cheek. It wasn't just physical, it was something else. Like we were finally listening. He whispered my name like it still meant something. And I realized maybe this wasn't about starting over. Maybe it was about finding what never truly left. Just then, his phone buzzed on the coffee table. A name flashed across the screen. One I didn't recognize. I didn't move. Neither did he. But the tension in the room shifted again. I didn't ask about the name on the screen. I didn't have to. The way his eyes flicked to it, just for a second, then away, told me more than words ever could. He wanted to pretend it meant nothing. But silence has a weight, and tonight, it pressed hard between us. Who was that? I asked, finally. He hesitated. No one. The way he said it, too fast, too light, made my chest tighten. I turned to face him, really face him. His hand was still on my leg. I didn't push it away. Not yet. You sure? I whispered, locking eyes with him. His jaw twitched. He didn't blink. That's when I felt it, the jealousy. Not the petty kind. The raw kind. The kind that scrapes against your ribs and makes your breath catch. The kind that comes from knowing someone used to be only yours, and wondering if maybe they aren't anymore. My voice softened, but my heart pounded. Do you still want me? He didn't answer right away. Instead, he leaned in, his forehead nearly touching mine. His breath was warm. Close. Our lips inches apart but not crossing that final line. My skin tingled with the tension, desire, confusion, fear, and something else I couldn't name. Every day, he said quietly. Even when I hate myself for it. That broke something open in me. Because I'd been holding back, too, hiding behind pride, routine, and the illusion that we were fine. But I wasn't fine. I wanted to scream. I wanted to pull him closer and push him away all at once. I wanted to ask who she was. I wanted him to beg me to stay. I didn't move. But I looked at him like I used to, bold, full of fire, daring him to do something. Say something. Fix this. Ruin it. His hand slid slowly up my back. I didn't stop him. I should have. But the way he touched me, like he still remembered the shape of my body, the curve of my anger, the rhythm of my breath, made it impossible. The air was thick. Something was about to happen. And just when I thought he might kiss me, there was a knock at the door. The knock at the door echoed like a warning. We both froze. He glanced toward it, then back at me. I could feel his heartbeat against my palm. It was fast, uneven. Just like mine. Neither of us moved to answer. It was like whoever stood outside didn't exist, or couldn't matter in this moment. Not more than this. His fingers brushed my cheek, then slipped behind my neck, pulling me just close enough that I could feel the warmth of his lips without the kiss. My body tensed, not in fear, but in want. Every inch between us screamed with unsaid things, undone touches, and time we couldn't rewind. I don't want to lose you, he murmured, voice barely above a breath. I blinked hard. Then stopped, making me feel like I already left. Outside, the knock came again, louder. Sharper. But the room felt like it was closing in, trapping us together. Or maybe freeing us. He leaned in like he was going to kiss me, then paused. Inches from my mouth. His lips parted like he had something else to say, but no words came out. Only silence. Heated. Raw. And then, the knock stopped. It was quiet again. Too quiet. I looked toward the door, then back at him. "You're not going to open it?" I asked. He shook his head. "Not tonight." I didn't press. I didn't need to. Because when he reached for my hand and pulled me up from the couch, everything inside me said I shouldn't go with him. But I did. He led me down the hallway, fingers laced with mine, like it was the most natural thing in the world. Like all the doubts and damage didn't matter for the next few minutes. The bedroom door clicked shut behind us. He turned to face me, both of us standing in a quiet standoff. Breathless. The tension thick enough to feel against your skin. He stepped forward. I stepped back. Until my back hit the wall. And he stopped just short, his hands flat against the wall on either side of me, caging me in but never touching. His eyes burned into mine, daring me to say no. Daring me to tell him I didn't want this. But I couldn't. And then, we heard a voice from the hallway. A woman's voice. Calling his name. His body went rigid the second he heard her voice. It was faint but unmistakable. Familiar. Calling his name like she had every right to. I could see the blood drain from his face even as his hands remained on the wall beside me, holding me in place without a touch. He didn't move. Didn't blink. "Who is she?" I whispered, my voice barely holding itself together. He swallowed hard. "It's not what you think." That sentence, those 5 words, felt like a slow knife. I pushed his hands away and slipped out from under him, my breath catching in my throat as I took a step toward the door. But he grabbed my wrist. "She's nothing." I turned slowly, my heart pounding, not from love anymore, but from betrayal. "Then why is she calling your name outside our bedroom?" His lips parted, but no words came. Just silence. Just guilt. And then, the truth. We ended things a while ago," he said finally. "But she never really let go. I didn't tell you because I didn't want to lose what we were rebuilding." My stomach twisted. "So you lied instead?" His jaw clenched. "I didn't lie. I just didn't tell me," I finished for him. The knock came again, this time followed by her voice, sharper now. "I know you're in there." I moved toward the door, fury and heartbreak wrapped around my ribs like a vice. But he stepped in front of me. "Please. Don't open it. Not like this." The ache in my chest was real, but so was the fire. I pushed past him and opened the door. And there she was. Long coat, perfect lipstick, eyes sharp and unapologetic. She looked at me. Then looked at him behind me. And smiled. "I guess she knows now." I stared at her. "What is it you think I know?" She tilted her head. "That we were together. Not just a fling. Years." The air was sucked out of the room. I turned back to him. His face said it all. Regret. Shame. The truth. "How long?" I asked, my voice raw. He didn't answer. I stepped back, tears burning, chest tight. Everything we'd rebuilt tonight, every touch, every whispered word, shattered. But what cut deepest? He didn't chase me. He just stood there. Frozen. Like he didn't know who to follow. And suddenly, I wasn't sure if I wanted him to. He didn't say a word. Not when I grabbed my bag from the hallway. Not when I brushed past him. Not even when I paused in the doorway, waiting, hoping, for him to stop me. To fight. To say anything. But he just stood there. And she leaned against the wall like she'd won something. Like this was a game. My heart felt like it had been split open with a dull blade. Not just from the betrayal, but from how easily he let me go. You could have told me, I said, voice shaking. You could have told me the truth, and maybe we could have fixed this. But now? There's nothing left to fix. His voice cracked, finally. I didn't want to lose you. You lost me the moment you stopped trying to be honest, I said. You don't get to be scared of losing someone and still lie to them. He took a step forward, reaching out. Please. Don't leave like this. I stared at him, searching his face for something, remorse, love, clarity, but all I saw was confusion. Regret, maybe. But too late. And suddenly, it hit me. He didn't know what he wanted. That's why he lied. That's why he froze. That's why she was still here, and I was still hurting. I deserve more than someone who hesitates, I said quietly. I turned to go. And that's when she finally spoke again, smug and calm. You always thought he was yours. But he's never stopped coming back to me. That stopped me cold. I spun around. Then you can have him. Both of you deserve each other. Her smirk faltered. His face fell. I walked out and didn't look back. Down the stairs, out into the night, breath fogging up in the cold air. My hands trembled as I stepped onto the sidewalk. My world was cracking open, but in the space between the pain, something else crept in: freedom. Relief. Maybe this was the closure I never thought I'd get. The truth finally out. The lies finished. And maybe now, I could start again. Not because I wanted to be alone. But because I finally knew my worth. As I disappeared into the night, my phone buzzed in my pocket. A message. From someone I hadn't spoken to in months. Still think about you. Just wondering if you're okay. And suddenly, the story wasn't over. Just changing chapters. He showed up 3 days later. Soaked from the rain, hair dripping into his eyes, holding nothing but a crumpled hoodie in one hand and a look that told me he hadn't slept since I left. I didn't open the door right away. He stood there, eyes locked on mine through the glass. Vulnerable. Still. Not the man who lied. Not the man who hesitated. Just the man I once fell in love with, stripped down to nothing but truth. I opened the door slowly. He stepped forward but didn't cross the threshold. I don't deserve you, he said. But I still love you. I didn't say anything. I was scared, he admitted. Of telling the truth. Of losing you. Of not being enough. I folded my arms, chest tight, throat hot. Then why come now? Because I realized. I already lost you once, he said, and it was worse than anything I was afraid of. The wind whipped behind him, and for a second, all I could hear was my own heartbeat. I thought about everything. The betrayal. The silence. The weight of trying to move on. And still, some part of me had waited. I don't want perfect, I said. I want honest. I want to be chosen, even on your worst days. I choose you, he said softly, stepping inside. Not just today. Every day. From here on out. I looked up at him, searching his face. It wasn't just a moment, it was a decision. And something in me finally softened. He reached out, slowly, gently, like he was afraid I'd disappear. His fingers brushed mine, and I didn't pull away. I stepped into him, pressing my forehead to his chest. His arms wrapped around me like they belonged there. We stood there in the doorway, rain still falling behind him, holding each other like we were starting over. And maybe we were. Maybe we had to fall apart to figure out how to hold on. But in that moment, I knew this: love wasn't in the flawless days. It was in the choosing. In the staying. In the way his arms felt more like home than any place I'd run to. He kissed my forehead, breathing me in like I was air. And I whispered, "Don't break me again." He held me tighter. "Never."